So occasionally I like to mix it up. I do a lot of builds on that M4 platform, that HK platform, AR platform, because there's a ton of different handguards out there that I can customize and I can go ahead and utilize in these gel blasters, because typically I'm taking airsoft pieces and I have to manipulate them a little bit to get them to fit. Those are easiest to work with, and there's a lot of cool things I can find. But I also try to mix it up. I try to find some ways to do some cool things with some of the other blasters you guys might have, just to show you some variety, and because I think it's fun to try to do something new and different. So what I'm showing you here is kind of my build plan video for a CQB SCAR, right? So I'm going to make it's a shortened version of the SCAR. Typically that's a long blaster, especially if you use that barrel attachment at the end. It can get pretty big. So I thought it'd be cool to make a shortened kind of CQB version. So I was able to find some files that I could resize, manipulate, cut to fit on the front end. So what I did is actually on this one, I actually cut with a bandsaw, which is always tough to cut perfect. And I did, as good as I could, which was close to perfect, and then was able to print this piece that I could then mold to it. So the inside, if we look at, is not near as pretty, because I'm not worried about what the inside looks like. So using a plastic welder and glue and that kind of stuff on the inside, I can really make sure that that's affixed to it very well. So I shortened that up quite a bit and put this front end on it. So you can see this version, or this side too, and I added the rails on this side. And the reason why I wanted to do that is that way I can go ahead and I can secure in some of these accessories I'm going to talk about, using bolts and nuts for like rails, that kind of thing, before I put the thing back together. So I thought that was a good way. And my goal too now when I build a lot of these is I'm trying to make sure that if you had to take it apart to service something, it is possible. Sometimes it's going to be difficult, but it's definitely possible. So I like to use these heat inserts. So you see those little gold pieces there. Those are little heat inserts for an M4 size screw or bolt. And then I also used them here on the front. So what I did is I printed these pieces, right, so that I could have half and half. We got the rails on the one side, and then I printed a separate front piece right here. So this front piece will then have, it's got two little holes here for bolts that will bolt directly into the front of this, okay? So that when you're putting it all together, that you'd be able to go ahead and take it apart. So looking at the front piece here, the top barrel obviously is just kind of a dummy barrel, and then the bottom is going to have this orange sleeve that is threaded on it, and the tip of the barrel is going to come just slightly outside of those threads. And I've talked about that before, how that's important, just because the metal part of that barrel reinforces those threads, gives them some additional stability, and I try to print those threads at a higher wall count to really give them more stability as well. So that's what we got going on kind of with the, I guess, handguard portion, right? Going to leave this bottom part the way it is. I'm not going to paint that because you can see I'm incorporating the different colors. So it already comes, with a couple different khaki colors. So we're incorporating kind of an army green and black, right? You can see the gearbox here. The electrical tape is only on there to kind of keep wires out of the way. It's not actually serving any purpose other than that, but that actually works out nice. So this is an EMERBU SCAR receiver. It's got the metal gears. It already had an upgraded spring. I went ahead and I upgraded the motor to a better motor. It comes with an upgraded motor, but I went to a high-speed motor because I plan on using 11.1 volt. And then I did replace the spring with an M95, okay? And then I went to a shorter barrel, obviously. So that's what we got going on there. Over here, you can see a lot of accessories, right? We got the stock there, just painted out a couple pieces of the stock. Again, trying to not paint pieces that are going to have a lot of movement. We're making sure to tape those areas so that they can still have smooth movement, right? So around the hinges, that kind of thing. Butt plate of the stock just went to the green. And then now we got some different accessories. So along the bottom here, that bottom, again, since it's going to be CQB style, this piece is going to tuck up all the way against the mag well, right? So it's kind of just a little grip piece that was modified slightly. And then this is going to go on the end. So you can see, again, it's just a grip piece, and it's got your stop here for your thumb stop, hand stop, whatever you want to call that. On the sides, where the handguard connects to the front piece, are going to be these rail pieces. And again, this is going to be a piece that I can go ahead and bolt from the inside. So that's what we'll do with that. All right. And then these pieces are just kind of decorative pieces that are just going to go up here and bolt from here to the front of the handguard as well. Just again, decorative piece, add some color, add some more stability. For the top rail, we're going to go ahead and use these really cool flip-up iron sights with fiber optics from FEYACHI. They're just a really nice flip-up sight. I believe I showed them to you in one other video. So we're going to use those because it's a CQB style. And then we're going to use a canted rail riser that's going to cant off to the side and use a little tiny scope of some sort with a laser. So I'm still kind of working on that. I do have a front end suppressor picked out to go with this blaster, and it's also the scope that I'm going to use is going to have some details on it that incorporate that same kind of, it's like a quilted pattern. Just to, again, dress it up a little bit, these just slide on the rail. So these will slide up top on the rail. Well, I'm not exactly sure what pattern I'm going to use and exactly how much of the rail they're going to cover, but I just had those printed from previously, and I thought, let's go ahead and let's utilize them where I can because they actually look pretty cool. And I think having them painted out these two colors with the black will look really nice. The charge handle, so I still can keep the priming on the charge handle. I'm going to have to do some work on the inside with shortening the spring and kind of flipping things around, but it should still work kind of in the factory position. And then I just made this kind of, again, you know, it's got that like quilted / knurled type pattern on it. Just sticks out a little more, looks a little different. I think it looks a little cooler. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Performance wise, hopefully we're going to be around 300 FPS, but until we really start playing with it, I'm not exactly sure. So there's the build video. It's going to be a CQB scar. It's going to be different than any of them I've built before. I thought about incorporating a different stock, but with the CQB style, having a folding stock like that is actually, you know, a pretty good idea. So I'd keep that and just kind of dress up the stock a little bit. So comments or questions, let me know what you think. Of course, like, subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and participate in the monthly giveaways.